Welcome. We got to the Terrible Takes Sports Podcast. First episode. How we feeling?
Oh, I'm hyped. Let's get this.
Oh yeah, I've been waiting for this.
3 after
I've been
dark,
waiting for it.
baby.
So, if you don't know, the original backstory was a few years ago, around the COVID years. Jadon and Stockley were on a podcast along with my older brother. He did not decide to produce this. I took the lead role in, or not lead role, but whatever, the broadcasting position. And so they basically just had the same thing. It was called Big Brain Sports Talk, but we decided to play off First Take and name it Terrible Takes because we probably honestly will have some terrible takes because a lot of us is biased. We won't try to be, but we can be biased at sometimes. But yeah, I have a little segment I'm going to play real quick. Back, baby. Did y'all hear that?
No, I didn't hear that.
No. Dang, I was trying to play something off my phone. Sorry. Okay, whatever. I'll play it later. It was just the Texas quarterback saying we bad. But anyways, let's get into it. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Holden Altman. I'm the producer / host of Terrible Takes. Basically, my credentials or whatever it's called. I played sports all my life. Grew up sportsy. Older brother was sportsy. Basically, a lot of household competitions, a lot of fights, a lot of me beating him, a lot of him beating me. Played high school sports, basketball, baseball. Won 2 state championships in baseball in the lowest division of high school sports. Anyways, right now I'm at Tech. I'm a business admin major with a minor in sports marketing, freshman. And basically, I know a lot of rules because I have a father who is in the college football business, but I will not be stating what he says. Yeah, I've also played football and baseball and basketball my whole life. So, Stockley, you want to go next?
Yeah. So I'm Jacob Stockley. I'm 21. I've played sports all my life, mainly soccer. Played a middle school, elementary school, basically since I was 4. Club, all that good stuff. Continued playing it even through college, just like for fun, not on a organized team or anything. I go to the University of Kansas. I'm a senior aerospace engineering major. I love everything sports, college football, college basketball. I'm a giant Oklahoma City fan in college football and a giant Kansas Jayhawks fan in basketball. So there will be zero bias from me. But yeah, a little about myself. John Adam.
What's up, everybody? I'm John Lingfield. I'm 22 years old, and unlike these two other people, they are in college. I work full time at Volkert Engineering, and I'm a land surveyor. Yeah, shout out to my boys on the crew. As hobbies, I play golf, football with some friends out at West Monroe High School. Basically any sport. If you ask, I'm down. I did play golf in high school and middle school. Played baseball for a while, so I'm into basically anything. One thing that I've been doing on a pretty frequent level is CrossFit. Shout out to Next Level Health and Fitness.
There a few times one summer.
Yeah, it changed perspective and mentality and physical appearance. But yeah, I'm happy to be doing this, and it's exciting.
All right, so you met the crew: me, Holden Altman, Jacob Stockley, and John Langenfield. So basically, the first thing we want to get into is college football. So obviously, it's going on about midway or past midway the season mark. So first thing you want to talk about is Oklahoma and Texas. They struggled this past week. 2 close losses, came down to the very wire, edge of the seat finishes. So one thing I want to hit on is how will Texas do with Quinn Ewers out for a little bit? Why don't you get y'all's opinion on that?
Jacob, you can go ahead first.
I feel like all through the season it's been Ewers, football stats. He didn't do too well. But it'll be interesting if they use Arch or if they go with the other backup. I don't know who the other one is. I don't know if they've made a decision yet or not. But honestly, I think they do. If Ewers is out against BYU, I think they struggle. I think it'll be close based on what I saw against Houston. They got really lucky at the end of the game with that terrible.
Oh,
spot.
that was terrible.
spot.
That was
Yeah.
so bad. He was a yard and a half past the first down marker,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and they
Corruption
spotted
I've
him
ever
a half
seen.
yard short. So bad.
But yeah. And if you look back at the Texas Houston game, Texas blew their 21-0 lead. The second half, or towards the end of the second half, Houston flipped the script, and they could have easily tied this game and gone to overtime. Earlier in the third quarter, there was a big smash drive that resulted in a field goal for Houston. They don't get that. They're converting on a third and short. They're going down to possibly score. That's 24-28. Then Texas gets the field goal. That's 28-28. And then, gets the touchdown. It's 31-28. And then, Houston, they're going for that controversial 4th and 1 and then getting stopped when they shouldn't have. Then you take the field goal, you get overtime, 31-31. So it's very unfortunate the way that game ended. But, with Ewers out, it'll be interesting to see how they do. I think they struggle, though.
And here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing that I took away from it. So, yes, the call, terrible. I mean, he got the first down. They score that touchdown. They're at home. Texas hadn't really been stopping them all game. And what if they go for 2 and win? What if they don't even go into OT? Rather than kicking, why don't they go for 2? I mean, they could. They have momentum on their side. They went all the way down the field. They were, they looked good offensively against Texas defense. I mean, I don't know. There's just so many things. They outgained Texas in yardage, 392 yards to 360. And I know that's only 32 yards, but it's Houston. And the one benefit I will say for Texas is that they survived. I mean, that's what it comes down to at this point in the season. It's surviving the games that are closest. It may not be a very good team, but if you survive, you keep your season alive by winning. And it's unfortunate that Ewers got hurt because he is their starting quarterback, and that can play some mental games with Texas in general. But the way they played, like on third down, they were 3 and 12. 3 third down conversions out of 12 chances. And you're going against Houston, an unranked team, and a team you should have blown out from the beginning. But
didn't put them away.
No.
Put them away.
No. So it'll be interesting to see, like you said, against BYU. The only thing is they have them at home. They have BYU and Kansas State at home, and then they go to TCU and they go to Iowa State.
I think they can win those 2 home games without Ewers, but if he's out for I don't know how long. I've heard 4 weeks he's going to be out. So I think if they go to TCU and Iowa State, they're going to drop those games. I know TCU is not the best, but TCU has shown that they can play with people.
Yeah.
The last time BYU went into Texas, Taysom Hill went into Austin and won 41-7. So I'm just saying, it's possible.
Yeah, I'm not counting it out. I do think BYU is a better team than their record. I mean, they've only lost 2 games this year.
BYU's they're always physical.
A little sneaky, underrated.
Yeah, and with a quarterback in Ewers that's out, I mean, who knows?
Hey, Kansas
could have another blow-up week or something.
I mean, Kansas State could do the same thing too. They absolutely obliterated TCU at home this week.
Yeah,
I think TCU scored like 1 touchdown.
Yeah,
but still like
field goal.
Field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we'll go to Oklahoma, Stockley's favorite team. So Stockley's in a predicament this weekend. He's a big Oklahoma fan, but he goes to Kansas, and that's where Oklahoma's playing this week. So could this be a trap game for Kansas? Oklahoma, the only undefeated team in Big 12. Kansas got blown out by Texas early in the year, but their only unfortunate loss of the season is Oklahoma State. I personally watched that game. So Kansas sits at a beautiful two losses in the season with Oklahoma 0. So what do y'all think is going to happen?
I think Oklahoma will pull it out. I will say
Mhm.
it does look scary. And I will say this, weather I think in like the background and the setting is gonna have a whole lot to do with it. If it's a clear sunny day and big noon kickoff isn't there, Oklahoma's gonna walk in and they're gonna win by 20 plus. Easy. It doesn't matter if Kansas is 5-2. Oklahoma will get the win by double digits. It's supposed to be cold. It's raining. You got big noon kickoff. They've sold out the game, even though it's supposed to be cold and rainy. I mean, it sets up perfectly for Kansas to get their first win against Oklahoma since like the 90s. And, with Oklahoma's, I mean, when you play in the rain, you don't ever throw the ball. You run the ball. And Oklahoma throughout the year, through Texas and through UCF, struggled to find a run game. They couldn't get it going. And if you look on stats and you look at the last game, you're like, oh, okay, well, like 189 yards rushing, that's pretty good. But then if you watch the game, the whole time where you have drives that end in punts and there's third and shorts, and instead of running the ball, you're throwing the ball because you haven't gotten any momentum on the line all game. It's going to become a factor. And, Kansas isn't a slouch like they usually are. And it's a home game, sold out, big noon. It's going to be hype. But, I think it'll be close. I do think Oklahoma pulls it out. I'm a big Oklahoma college football fan, like I said. And, I think they'll pull it out. I think it'll be closer. I don't know
Playoff,
if the spread
playoff,
is.
playoff is on the line here. If you
I
lose
know
this
it is.
game, you can't lose
No, it
another one, or
is.
you out.
I think we'll be good though. And again, in years past, I had to worry about Lincoln Riley's defense. I don't have to worry about that. Alex Grinch is gone. That speed B
That's
is gone.
UFC's
I have
problem,
Brent
man.
Venables
Yeah.
and Danny Stutzman is my captain on defense. Okay, we don't fear anyone. The only person we fear is God. All right, we don't fear anybody but God, and that's a perfect mindset. And that's a perfect motto. And I think that defense stopped the KU offense. They have an excellent run game. Kansas's two running back head of Highshaw and Devin Neal is absolutely incredible, and it's amazing to watch. I think because Jalen Daniels is playing and starting Jason Dean, I think that's another reason Oklahoma might get it close or may pull away. But I got Oklahoma winning.
I will put something to say on this because you're obviously going to be biased towards OU.
Yeah.
But let's just look at some negatives from this last game against UCF. Because if Kansas is better than UCF, would you say they are? Would you consider Kansas to be
Oh
better
yeah.
than
I mean,
UCF?
UCF
Kansas
hasn't
blew
won a
out
Big 12
UCF.
game yet.
Kansas
Okay,
blew
all
out
right.
UCF.
Okay, all right. And that's what I'm getting at because Kansas beat them 51-22.
Oh, I know.
And here's the situation. This is where I'm coming from. So for one, you lost to John Rice Plumlee. Okay, it's his fifth year. Okay, he's going on his fifth year. All
We
right,
didn't
and
finish
he
the
hasn't
game
proved
though.
himself anywhere else. And he shows up to UCF and just put up 400 yards of offense. Okay, now I
Hey,
get
they're
it. I get
averaging
it.
500, so we kept them 100 below their average, so that's a plus.
That's good. That's good. But for OU to be considered a top national team in the country, their defense is going
Yeah.
to have to start showing up to these football games. They their offense, they did have two turnovers. I mean, that's not going to make a big deal. Their
But I
kicking,
will say
your kicker
the
did
game should
miss
have been
one of
over.
three field goals.
Oh, I know. The game should
So
have been over in the
there's
first
points.
quarter though. The game should have been over in the first quarter. We forced
It should have
UCF
been.
to four straight punts. We had the ball in UCF territory 3 of the 4 drives. In the first drive, we had it on our own 48. So 4 great field positions, and we came away with 1 touchdown. That's not acceptable. And if we
Yeah.
do that against Kansas, and like you said, and I agree, Kansas is better. Kansas will make you pay.
Yeah. And I think my biggest takeaway from the game was just the offense was fine. I mean, uh, I don't know. It's just the defense. I feel like you put them up against a tougher offensive opponent than like Texas, for example. I mean, high scoring, back to back to back to back, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. You get in that type of game, I guess that's fine. But if you come up against a team that's going to have a good defense and they have a good offense, what can Oklahoma stop? That's the only issue I see. Offense is going to be fine. It's going to come down to the defense getting turnovers or just getting some toughness on the defensive line. I mean, I think that's essentially what's going to come down to in the trenches, you know. But
Yep, I agree. I think, in my opinion, Kansas can pull this out. It'll be like a last-minute drive, 2-minute drill.
Oh no!
2-minute drill, they pull it out. Last-second touchdown to win the game, buzzer beater, all that stuff. Stockley storms the field.
Yeah, I'm gonna storm the field with my dad. My dad's gonna be sad, and I'm gonna be like mixed emotions.
All right, next thing. Everyone loves Utah. The Utes putting Caleb Williams in a reality check. He is not all that. He is not the stuff. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Not a generational talent. Overrated. And he has proven that in 2 straight games. 2 straight losses for USC. And honestly, no one feels bad for him because you can't support a guy who writes F the team on his fingernails. I will not support it. I think it's wrong. Cocky. Don't pray on his downfall, but I kind of do.
yeah, I think for me, it's the fact that he finally played some good defenses, and it's being shown that he may not be all that he was built up to be. Like, even last year against Utah, not too good. Like, you put a good defense in front of him, make him make quick decisions, make him run. I mean, you give him pressure, and he's obviously a turnover machine sometimes, throwing multiple picks a game, 3 picks a game.
Not this last game. The game before that, he threw 3 interceptions the first half, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that's his first interceptions of the season, too.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, Caleb Williams, I mean, he's not going to be a bust, I don't think. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. But the team in general, which I don't know if he's about team, he hasn't proven to me that he's about team.
He's trying to own a team. That's what team he's about. He's owning a team.
Right. He's about money, and more money doesn't always mean better. But I don't know. That's just me. But yeah, just USC's team in general. I mean, Utah outgained them. They put up 482 yards against USC. The biggest takeaway is Utah had 34 minutes of possession, whereas USC had 25. So that's 9 extra minutes of possession total for the whole game. That means Utah's getting what they want, running the ball. Here's some stats for you. USC, their defense is terrible, and here's why. USC is allowing 428 yards a game. That's 223rd in the country. Okay, you're not going to be a top team in the country and be 223rd ranked in the nation. They're allowing 164 rushing yards a game. That's 175th. So not only are they getting what they want in the air, but they're also running the ball on you every single game. So time of possession, and if you don't have the ball the most, or if you can't at least get close to half throughout the whole game, then your defense isn't helping the offense. And if your offense can't score because they're throwing picks, well, then you're not helping the defense, and they're getting the ball right back. They're allowing 243 passing yards a game, which is 200th in the nation, and they're allowing 30 points per game, which is 235th in the nation. Now, I don't know what else to say, but the facts back it up. Their defense is terrible, and when you give them a good defense to go up against, they're just not the same team as everybody was building it up to be. I mean,
and I agree, and we all know that I can go for an hour or two straight talking about how I don't have to back Lincoln Riley anymore and how I don't like him. And like you said, right, Caleb Williams has been humbled back-to-back weeks. He's playing defenses that, are good. And if we looked at Lincoln Riley's offense, because the scheme has not changed whatsoever. Not once has he made adjustments to what he's done. When he plays teams that are physical and teams that have great defenses, Baylor, Kansas State, Iowa State, they all resulted in losses or really close games. And what did some of those do? Like in each of those games, they limited the time of possession. Like you said, Utah was able to do whatever they wanted. It was Utah's game. And Utah has had Lincoln Riley's number for 3 games now. He's
5
0-3
straight
against
games,
Utah.
like
Yeah,
5 or
5.
6, like
Oh,
including like conference
okay.
championships.
There you go. And yeah, like you said, their defense is terrible. Their CB does not work. And physicality, Lincoln Riley kryptonite. Offenses that have a pulse is Alex Grinch's kryptonite. He can't do anything. And unfortunately, outscoring your opponent every game and hoping that your defense gets a stop is not going to work. Defense wins championships, and I learned that the hard way watching. So, you can have the number one offense in the nation, but your defense doesn't have a pulse, and what's the point?
Yeah.
And USC schedule does not get any easier.
I was just
looking
about
it
to
up.
say that.
They got
Yeah.
they have at California. They have at California next, and then they have Washington at home the 4th.
Yeah.
At Oregon, that's a straight loss there. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, what?
And then
they're
they have
looking at like 8-4 season. They're going to play Kansas in like
yeah,
the
8-4
Bowl,
or
and who's going to win?
or 7-5 because UCLA's ranked top 25. I mean,
Yeah, they're sneaky.
UCLA
Man.
will give a run for their
game.
money.
Every single one of those games are going to be high scoring, and it's going to come down to turnovers and time of possession.
I can see
game.
I can see
high.
Oregon.
I think the Oregon.
I think Oregon will run them out the building.
Yeah,
Oregon will run them out the building.
Yeah,
and also
I agree.
I think y'all saw this. Y'all saw that tweet about that guy who said that Caleb Williams should sit out the rest of the season because nothing else matters anymore for him.
Yeah,
I think that guy should be fired off
Emmanuel
Twitter, off
Acho.
ESPN.
Yeah, he's a Texas.
Terrible. One of the worst takes I've ever seen in my life. Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think if Utah wins out, do they deserve a college football playoff spot? I know their schedule probably does not get any easier than this. Let me look it up.
They still got Oregon and Washington.
They do, and
yeah.
I think the opponents that they have opponent again in the conference.
They have Oregon this weekend at 2:30 at home. Utah does, and they have at Washington. But then the rest of their schedule is Arizona State, Arizona, and then Colorado. I mean, they're going to absolutely destroy Colorado.
And here's the thing: the Pac-12 is so tossed up because let's just say if Oregon were to win out,
each other up.
They're gonna exactly. They're
2 losses.
2, 3.
I mean, we're gonna see how Pac-12 usually falls apart, and they always beat each other because that's when they're never in the playoffs because they all just end up beating each other.
Yeah.
So, I think if Utah wins the conference championship, I think they deserve a spot. I mean, yeah, they have an awful loss against Oregon State, but also they're also ranked, and that was at Oregon State. So, I mean, not too terrible.
It'll be close because Florida State could win out, Oklahoma could win out, and then you have an SEC winner and a Big Ten winner. It'll be close.
Yep, and then obviously Washington struggled this weekend at Arizona State. I think that's just whatever games, Pac-12 at the dark. Too tired.
I will say this too. They had 5 turnovers, 2 picks, Washington? 3 fumbles. Yes.
Jeez.
And defense had to rely on defense.
Yeah, exactly.
Single touchdown out of single touchdown.
Doesn't it score like 15-7?
Yeah.
13-7?
15-7
Jeez.
And guess what? Guess what determined that game? Arizona State had 37 minutes of time of possession to Washington's 22 minutes. They outgained them 15 minutes. Yeah, I mean.
Then defense wins championships. We'll see if Washington does it.
I think it does in Pac-12 at least.
Yep. Pac-12 at the dark gets scary. Real spooky around this time of season, huh?
Oh, all right. So thing. Hang on, one more thing. Washington only had 13 yards rushing total. So
yeah, and their leading rusher had the ball once. He ran the ball once for 13 yards.
Yep.
They only ran one rushing play the whole game?
No, their leading rusher only had one rush for 13 yards.
One rush for 13.
Yeah. 13 rushing yards total. If that goes to show you anything about their running game.
All right. The next, we're going to the Bama versus Tennessee game. Tennessee lights out first half. Got the clutch pick in the end zone in the half. Go up 20-7. Absolutely fall apart. 34-20 to end the game. Bama's second half was, I think that half will turn their season around. I think they can finally see, like, oh, we can play. Like, we can we can get our offense rolling. Our defense can play. Like I think everything clicked. I think now they're in the driver's seat to college football playoffs. Everyone has been counting them out, saying, "Oh, they're going to drop this game because their offense is not good, Milroe's not good, their defense, blah blah blah." But I think they proved that against Tennessee, who obviously absolutely was destroying them the first half, and I think they clicked it on, and they'll be on the rest of the season.
And this is literally what I have written down right next to me. First half equals terrible. Second half equals beautiful, because that was the tale of the day. It was the first half, offense couldn't do jack squat, 7 points in 2 quarters. That's not going to beat anybody. If you're not at least in a close game against Tennessee, you're getting blown out by somebody else. Georgia comes into town, you put up 7 points in 2 quarters, you're going to be down at least 14.
They got LSU coming to town, not this weekend, but the next.
Exactly.
LSU offense on fire too.
And here's the situation. So I am a Bama fan, and so I am, just like Jacob is about Oklahoma, I'm biased towards Bama. But that leads to more frustration for me. So watching these games, watching a close or a Tennessee team hang that many points on us in the first half, put us down, having to come out in the second half hot, which you hope that's what happens. You hope that we come out, we can actually do something with the offensive side of the ball. And we got, so I guess you could call them blessings on our side. So we get the ball coming out in the second half, we score, and then whenever we kick the next kickoff, so the guy who received the ball, he didn't do it, but they had like a 2-man receiving whatever to catch the kickoff return, and the other dude put his arms out as if to call a fair catch. Well, he was on the 4-yard line when he did it. So they got the ball on the 4-yard line and went 3 and out and punted the ball, so we got the ball back. Great field position because they went nowhere on their drive, and we kicked a field goal. So that's 10 points in the first half just to start, or the second half to start. Well, then the very next drive, they went for it on 4th and 1 on their own 47. We stopped them, and then we went down and scored a touchdown. That's 17 points. Okay, that's 17 points in the second half, and that's kind of like they just kind of gave it to us. Like if you have any type of football IQ with that situation, then
don't go for a fourth down your own. No,
and
teams have been doing that all season.
Why are you calling a fair catch on a kickoff on the 4-yard line? It's those types of things. And so, as an Alabama fan, I was happy that they were making those mistakes because it basically gave us the game. But at the same time, our offense started finding some momentum, throwing the ball. We were able to make some good clutch defensive plays. The fumble recovery that we had for a touchdown, whenever we hit the quarterback, fumbled, ran into it. I mean, there's just more points that we get to have because our defense finally showed up in the second half. Offense showed up in the second half. And we got blessed with some good situations as far as them making dumb decisions. So I think that's what it comes down to. Now, going forward, I would like to see our offense have more than 2 quarters worth of good offense. I feel like we've been one half or the other. Either we start off hot for the first 2 quarters and put up 21, and then in the second half we do nothing, and they come back and make it a close game, or it's the opposite. In this Tennessee situation, it was they're up in the first half. We come out in the second half. We're having to make plays that we shouldn't have to be making, and then we get in a situation where we end up blowing them out by 14 or whatever, but I think you just need to try to find a way to combine both halves, have good offensive football and defensive football, all 4 quarters, because if not, you're going to get beat by one of the top 5-6 teams in the country. Their offense is going to be too good. Their defense is going to be too good. You can't do that. So LSU is probably the game that makes me the most nervous coming up, obviously for good reason. Their offense
LSU also doesn't have a great defense anyways.
Right.
The defense is decent. So.
Right. And the situation is going to be, is Milroe going to make the right plays at the right time? Is he going to stumble under pressure? Because if he gets off balance in a way, he throws a lot of picks. And they're like, why'd you throw it like that? How'd you throw it like that? And if LSU can get some turnovers, then their offense is going to be good enough to score points. It's going to come down to who has the most turnovers, who holds the ball the most, whose offense shows up, whose defense shows up. Because I mean, sometimes Alabama's defense doesn't show up either. So
And they're
it's going
both
to come
coming
down.
off the bye week. So they got 2 weeks to
be a
prepare for
good
this
game.
matchup.
Yeah. But that's my
So-
take on it. I mean, I don't know if Jacob
I
had
agree.
anything to say, but
All I'm gonna say is the second half was the Bama I'm used to, and I think
Yep.
rolling into the bye week is exactly what they need, and I think they'll smack LSU. But that's for next week.
All right, you heard it here from Stockley. LSU smackdown from Bama.
Yes, sir.
But all right, we'll get to the last game recap. Basically, Big Ten, Ohio State versus Penn State, defensive battle. Penn State defense their offense kind of stalled. Not really much going on there. I wasn't really able to watch the game. I was in and out watching other games, and that game wasn't really high scoring. So, if y'all got any notes on that, I'll let y'all take the floor.
Yeah. So I split screen the Ohio State and Oklahoma game, but Ohio State defense completely only held them to 191 passing yards, 240 total yards on offense. And, going in, Penn State hasn't really played anybody. And so it's like, okay, what does Penn State have? What can they offer? Well, Ohio State's defense came to play. 2 turnover on downs, forced 8 punts, forced a fumble, and then gave up 12 with the garbage time touchdown. I don't really want to count that, but I will. And then on offense, right, they could have made this game 30-6, and it could have been a blowout. It couldn't even been 20-12. Ohio's offense had a chance to score on a goal line, and they missed a field goal. Okay, that's 10 points you probably could have had, and then you're looking at a 36 blowout game. Marvin Harrison showed up, looked amazing. He looks like the best wide receiver in college football right now. He's looking like his number 1 draft prospect. He's looking like he's down out there, absolutely balling. But Ohio State looks good. Shut down Penn State. And, it was good to see what Ohio State and Penn State were made of. I still think Penn State's a good football team. But, when it came against Ohio State, who looks like a playoff team, couldn't get it done.
yeah. And I think, so talking about Ohio State, Penn State, it was obviously a great defensive game. I mean, the first half was just defense. Looked like the offenses couldn't really do much. Like you said, Drew Aller, it's like his decision making wasn't exactly there. There were a couple plays that I was watching, and he just seemed to not make the right decision. Yeah. I will say this though, and I guess this is just kind of some bias because I don't really care for Ohio State. Every time there's a big game Ohio State has to play in, the one game they play in all year, 2 games they play in all year, they get it at home. They have home field advantage. I was looking at that before, last week, whenever I was looking at the coming up games for the weekend, and I was like, yeah, that's right. We have Ohio State, Penn State, and that's going to be a good game. And then I noticed, oh, it's at Ohio State. I feel like every year Michigan's at Ohio State or Penn State's at Ohio State. Obviously, they're going to play the other one away most of the time, but they essentially, those 3 teams, that's all their competition. So you're going to look good.
Michigan's strength of schedule is terrible. The only team they played all year is Nebraska.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at Michigan, they're doing what they need to do.
Nebraska only beat Tech by 14.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tech's 3-6 right now.
Yeah.
And obviously Michigan's doing what they're doing, and that's what a top team's supposed to do. Show everybody, and so I'm number 2, so I'm gonna blow everybody out by 50 points. Yeah, they're doing it. Did they cheat a little bit? We can discuss that later. But as it comes to Ohio State and Penn State, it's the only competition they have. And the Big Ten West for the conference championship, they're not gonna play. They're gonna play Iowa, who has no offense and only defense. I mean, come on now. That game's going to be 30.
A 12-10 loss to Minnesota at home.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, an awful call, but you won't get into that tonight.
Yeah.
But Penn State, they have 1 loss or 2 losses. Is that their first loss of the season?
First loss.
Yeah.
So I think if they win out, they'll get into year 6. They won't make college football playoffs just because they won't get into the Big Ten championship. because of Ohio State. But anyways, I
If
think
you're
they
Penn
make it New Year's
State, you hope
6.
that Ohio State loses to Michigan and they somehow lose another game. I mean, that's essentially
Yeah,
what's
but
going to come down to.
James Franklin has like possibly the worst loss record in the nation to top 10 teams.
And I thought
I
Penn
think
State was
I
going to be
think
sneaky good. I thought they had the talent to do it this year. I really did. And I'm not saying that.
Maybe
I mean, it was
next year.
still a good
Drew
game.
Aller's only a freshman.
Yeah.
anyways, we'll go into Michigan. What the heck is happening at Michigan? A guy 550 pages or 600 pages to take over the football program. He's also stealing signs. TCU knew about it, decided to change the play, keep the same styles, but change the plays. Like, what? Why did TCU not turn it in? Like, what is going on? This is, I swear, we get new information every day that just blows my mind. Like, I mean, obviously you can steal signs, but I mean, you can't just go sit at a team's 50-yard line, 10 rows up, and record on your phone. Like, that's obviously illegal. I mean, you can still sign in the game, but this is wild.
What's the point of you being an analyst if you're going to sign you? Be like me in my field, right? And I'm cheating off everybody. I'm not learning. As an analyst, you're supposed to recognize schemes and defenses. That's your job. And so you're going to take the easy way out and then go to games and steal their signs and cheat. Come on now. That is low. That's some Astros level low.
And using your name to buy the tickets, Venmo money to buy tickets.
Yeah,
like,
you gotta Bob Jr. or something like that.
Exactly. Get a new identity. Like, you gotta still sign some other way. But a big thing was that came out earlier this evening was TCU knew about it before going to their Michigan semifinal game, and obviously TCU won. And so they decided to change the plays to the signal. So they kept the same signals, but changed the plays. So my big thing is, why didn't TCU turn it in? And my thing is, if you don't turn something in, you're also doing yourself. Because you know that if you tattle on someone else, you're going to get caught too. That's my thing. I'm not saying TCU's cheated. They also got freaking destroyed by Georgia the next game, but maybe Georgia had their signs for it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they got destroyed.
Think about that, and it's like, it's almost like because they found out Michigan had been cheating, they were just like, well, then we're just going to turn it against them, make them regret cheating.
Yeah.
But
true.
In that situation, it's so confusing, everything that's gone on. And the fact that we're all just finding out about this midway through the season, closer to the end of the season, when it's starting to affect conference championships, your record's really important. You know, the people are talking about the playoffs now, who's going to be in, who's not, and they are sitting pretty. They're sitting pretty in their spot to make the playoffs. Yeah, and you know they'll play Ohio State, but I don't know. It's like, for one, why? You're getting the talent. Why do you feel the need to cheat? But
and you're playing teams who suck. Your only competition is Penn State and Ohio State every year. There's no need to sign steal against Bowling Green or UConn.
Yeah.
Western Kentucky.
Right.
Yeah.
Hilltoppers.
I think my biggest question with it though is like, so you've got Michigan and this whole cheating thing, but who's to say other teams aren't doing the same thing and we just haven't been caught?
I mean, they are. I mean, I think other teams are still in signs, but like, I mean, heck, like even in our baseball state championship, 2 years in a row, we stole the other team's signs. Not legally. We figured it out in the middle of the game. And so, like, that's legal. Like, if you figure out in the middle of the game, freaking take that. Take it. Like, you know what it is, might as well use it. But, like, buying 12 games in a year, that's insane.
Yeah.
You're going to get caught.
What is the punishment going to be?
Cheaters get caught.
How are they going to punish them? Are they going to...
Michigan's going to win it this year, come back in 10 years, take their national championship away like it matters. They hit all their wins this year.
Give them a postseason ban next year, and then allow the people to travel, like transfer out, and then that's the end of the Michigan program, and Harbaugh's off to the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that. The plan is unfolding for that dude. He's taking over Michigan.
Dude,
I
maybe
mean,
he
it
don't
go
know.
blew up this
freaking.
week.
Dude, maybe
The
he'll go
situation.
coach at the Saints. Dude, they need anything they can get right now.
You know.
But in our college football segment, we will go into the trap games. Obviously, we have Georgia at Florida, the swamp, gator bait. That's what they say. No Brock Bowers got hurt. Number one offensive weapon, number one target. Dude's a beast. He's going to be special in NFL, in my opinion. So, what's y'all's opinion? Georgia go in, dominate Georgia, who's been struggling, or Florida pulls off the upset and ruins Georgia's playoff chance?
So I'm a little
Made it
flip
will throw a
about
shoe
this.
this time.
So Brock Bowers being out is definitely not a good thing for Georgia. He's their top target by a good bit, receptions, yardage, touchdowns. But I do think they found something since he's been gone, and that's their running game. They've been running the ball well. They've gotten back to kind of their in trenches offensive line, dominate the defensive line, getting a lot of rushing yards. And I think that's something that they were lacking before. And I think that's kind of why early, like first half situation, they weren't putting up the points they should. I think that was kind of skeptical that like the what everybody was kind of wondering is like, is Georgia's offense just not as good as they were these last couple of years? Like they're not dominating offensively and defensively like they usually do, and showed in like covered for betting and stuff like that. Like they weren't covering well because the first half was terrible offensively. They weren't covering, and for this situation, they lose a special player that they wish they had. I mean, as a top target on the team, but do you gain more more offensive power because you lean on some other things rather than one player? It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, at Florida, that's tough. It's a tough environment.
Well, no, it's neutral site. It's in Jacksonville.
Oh, really?
Tell party. Yep.
As
Okay.
a neutral site?
Mm-hmm.
Never
Okay.
mind. Georgia has it in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see if Florida can create some turnovers early and get a lead, then it's probably gonna be a close game. But I don't know. I just think Georgia's going to start finding some better run game. I think they're going to have some big running games coming up soon.
Yeah, and I agree.
Yep.
I think on schedule it looks like a tight game, but I think Georgia pulls it off.
All right, and then to finish off the segment, we have possibly the game of the week. Number 8, Oregon at 13, Utah. Utah on a roll. Obviously, a big win against USC we talked about earlier. I think Oregon loses. I think Bo Nix goes into Utah, hostile environment. And also we saw they played at Washington. Oregon lost that, unfortunately. And I think Oregon loses, and this basically propels Utah to the college football playoffs. That's my opinion, and I'll stick with it. So Utah on top. You got any thoughts or predictions?
I don't know. I'm back and forth on this game. I'm gonna go with Utah just because it's at home. Well, actually, no. I'm gonna go Oregon. Well, no, I don't know. I think it'll be close. I think it can go either way. Obviously, Oregon needs this game. They have one loss already. One more loss puts them out of the Pac-12 title game, in my opinion, because then that opens the door for Utah and Washington to at least Washington can lose a game and still be okay. Uh, I think this is a must-win game for Oregon, so I think they're going to come out. So I will go with Oregon in this game. I think it'll be close. I don't think Oregon will cover. I think it's like a favorite for Oregon. I think it'll be like a 3 field goal type of game. I think Utah will use their strengths like they did against USC and then time of possession like they did. But I think Oregon gets it on top. I think their defense will show up and shut down Bryson Barnes, and I think Bo Nix will go out and perform and do well.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually agree with Jacob on this one. I think Oregon will actually go into Utah and beat them. I think it's going to be more than a field goal. I think it's going to be closer to 10. And I know it's kind of a strong point, but my thing is Oregon had a really good game against Washington. I mean, it's offensive battle back and forth, back and forth. Really fun to watch. I think now that they have that loss under the belt, I think they're going to use it as momentum. And I know Utah's a good team. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a huge loss for Utah, but I do think Oregon has this chip on their shoulder that that they want to go and play Washington again. And I think they're actually going to beat Washington a second time if they played again. As risky as it is to say that after watching the game against Washington, I think if they were to beat Utah this weekend, they're going to go on and win the Pac-12. From momentum, from they have a veteran quarterback who's been there, he's done it, or he's been close to doing it. He's got the experience that he needs to be able to win big games. And with Utah's quarterback situation, not having Rising, I think that hurts them too. Their quarterback play was good this past weekend, but I just don't think it's that veteran presence that you need in a big game, even if it's at home. I think it's a close game within 10 points, around 10 points, and Oregon pulls it off and goes on to win the Pac-12. I'll go ahead and write that.
Oh, wow.
And this is secondly like their last toughest game of the season. They at Utah this week. They have USC at home 2 weeks later, and then they finish off the season with Oregon State at home. So I think this is really their last true tough test because I feel like Oregon State would probably just end up being about average. So
I do agree with you though, Holden. Like if Utah were to win this weekend and win out their games, they're in. Oregon's the same way. Washington's the same way.
Yep.
If they all win out, or if one of them wins out, they're going to make the playoffs. I think they make the playoffs. It's going to come down to who, if they all have two losses, or like,
and which will probably end up happening because Pac-12 always beats each other out. They beat each other out, and they beat each other out.
Exactly.
All right, so that's all we have for our college football segment. So now we're going to turn heads to the NFL. So Eagles 6-1 dominated the Miami Dolphins this past week. I think the score was 31-17. So I think Eagles, they're going to dominate the rest of the season. The schedule doesn't look that too tough, I think. So they'll probably end up dropping 2 or 3 more games like always, just how it rolls. I'll see. My prediction, deep run to playoff. Can Miami bounce back? They're 5-2. Tough loss against Philadelphia. See what happens. Michelle's thoughts.
I think the Eagles are good. But you mentioned the schedule thing. The only thing they have is they got the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Bills, the 49ers, and the Cowboys again, and that's ordered after they play Washington this next week. So they'll have 5 straight games of tough opponents. And 49ers, they're top 2. They're number 2 in the NFC in my opinion. You got the Chiefs and the Bills, arguably 1 and 2 in the AFC. AJ Brown is an amazing wide receiver. He's having a great stretch of games right now. 3 straight 125 plus receiving yards. Tied, I think, first for the most 125 plus receiving yards game wise. And another thing, they rank 5th in defense and they're number 3 in offense. That's Super Bowl talent title. That's Super Bowl worthy level. And I will say, I'm going to go ahead. It's going to be an Eagles versus Chiefs rematch.
Push first, baby.
Eagles versus Chiefs rematch, and the Eagles are going to win.
They're going off a push. 3rd and 1. Game on the line. Push. But news, Buffalo did end up beating the Baker Mayfield's Buccaneers 24-18. That pushes the Bills to 5-3. So kind of down year for them, maybe. I don't know. They're iffy. I think
they'll probably count them out.
Definitely count them out.
They do seem not as dominant maybe as we've seen. I think part of that is some of Josh Allen's play at quarterback. They have a lot of weapons and they're valuable. Stephon Diggs, he's a dog. They may not have the best running game, but they have enough to to be that if you have a quarterback who's top of the NFL, like people have been projecting him number 2 behind Patrick Mahomes since he's been drafted, basically. And if you're going to be that guy, then you need to do something with the talent you're being given. I mean, he's got 15 touchdowns. After tonight, I don't know. He threw, 2? But so 17, and then he threw a pick tonight. So on top of the 7 he already had, he's got 8 now. So I don't know if 17 and 8 is too good for the number 2 quarterback in the league. I mean, would you agree? I mean, is that top 2 in the NFL? I wouldn't say so. I mean, if you have more than 4 interceptions to this point, I don't think you're a top QB in the league unless you like dominate in yards and touchdowns.
I won't tell Dak Prescott that because he thinks he's dominant. That guy thinks he's the GOAT.
It's not even because of him that the Cowboys win games, I can tell you that.
No. But 49ers dropped 2 in a row. Brock Purdy, concussion protocol, probably questionable this week. What's it? Losses to Browns and Vikings. Vikings struggle a little bit. Browns are the Browns. So I think I'm not counting them out, but I also think they'll just even out a little bit. They started off hot, but
this is what I have written down, literally, word for word. No, they will be fine. And they will, because once they get all their players back and healthy, they will be just as dominant as they were before. I mean,
it'll be an Eagles 49ers rematch in the NFC Championship game.
Exactly. The situation is, yes, the Browns, they lost in that game. McCaffrey and Deebo went down. It's not the Browns have a good defense too. So it wasn't like a situation where they dominated the 49ers. Close game, right? The Vikings, close game. It's not like they've been dominated. There's no situation.
The Vikings aren't bad either. They were like the best 0-3 team because they kept losing by like a touchdown.
They did lose Justin Jefferson, though. So that's a situation as well. But I do think overall, the 49ers still have a top 2 roster. They're going to get their talent completely healthy again, come back and be just as strong as they were, make the playoffs, make a run. I'm not worried about the 49ers. I could care less who they play because they're going to most likely put up 30 points and be within at least a touchdown of, even if they lose. I mean, they'll be fine.
Well, I'm very salty the 49ers right now because I was down 25 in the fantasy league. And I only have 1 win so far, so I'm begging for any points I can get. The 49ers defense, George Kittle, and Brock Purdy winning by 1.5. Purdy throws an interception, I lose by 1.5. And I'm pissed. I am so mad.
Purdy for the rescue.
So mad. I was like, I thought I had the dub. I was like, the 49 defense, that's already 10 points right there. No, they end up getting -3.
Honestly, that's just a fantasy user right there. You got to be a better fantasy player.
Oh, all my other players that suck popped off this week.
Hey, you drafted them.
I actually have like a whole new team now, actually. So I'm just trying not to eat at Waffle House for 24 hours. But Logan Ledron, I'm coming for you. Me and Logan Ledron 1-6, buddy. I will beat you, I swear. Anyway, so obviously we'll go talk about the local Saints. I don't know. Look stellar against New England Patriots and just crash and burn. Drew, I miss you, Drew.
I miss you, Drew, too. We need a quarterback. Get Derek Carr out of here. Get Foster Moreau out of my organization. Have bricks for hands. Terrible. Oh, man. Defense is great. I love Demario Davis. He's my favorite player.
Yeah.
You need a quarterback. And Olave, don't even try. He's running routes at 50% like Chase Claypool.
He runs 25 yards up, and if he doesn't get the ball, he just jogs.
And he does faster in a car than he does on the field.
He goes 110% in the car.
Yeah. No, here's the thing. the Saints are okay because their division sucks. I mean,
Yeah,
the
and I
Falcons are
think I was looking.
4-3, the
Yeah,
Bucks are
no one
three
has a
and
winning
three,
record.
they're 3-4, and the Panthers haven't won a game. So
I won
they're going to
6,
be
maybe.
fine. It's just going to come down to that production on the offense. Is Carr going to be the guy that they paid to come in and be what Jameis Winston couldn't be? Like, unless you can get Drew Brees out of retirement, you're not getting another quarterback.
Pre-ACL, Winston was all right, and we were eating dubs. All right, we were eating dubs. But
That has to be the weirdest pre-game speech I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
He just gobbling up his fingers, baby. That's interesting.
At this point, should the Saints just go for Caleb Williams? Should they tank for Caleb Williams?
I think Caleb Williams, even out in the NFL, in my opinion, I think he's going to do all right.
That's not what you said earlier. You said he was a bust and overrated. Rewind that.
Sorry, I got in the moment.
If the Saints got Caleb Williams, would be happy.
I challenge that, man.
I think
if the Saints got Caleb Williams, would you be happy?
If that was the only option,
yeah, absolutely.
If that was the only option we had, I think yeah. But if we can go out and get someone else,
all the way to the Saints, absolutely.
Hey, you just better pay him some money.
He still. I mean, Saints have a defense for Caleb Williams.
That's true.
Just better be ready. The Saints better be ready to give up some money though, because he wants part taking part ownership.
Yeah, he wants to own New Orleans. Good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah, I think he's a problem. I think he's going to cause problems. I think they need to go with somebody else. If I'm being completely honest. I mean, what if they go Marvin Harrison Jr.? Could they use another wide receiver?
And Michael Thomas, Ohio State University.
And then if Olave, stays out of his car, he might be okay. I don't know.
Man, he plays for the Saints, dude. He should have got out that rest. Like I was like, he's like, I play for the Saints. I was like, okay, and weird flex, but okay. All right, we'll go to the matchups of the weekend. Kind of a lame weekend. Texans at Panthers. Panthers get their first win, maybe. I think Stroud. I think he's legit. I think he's proven himself from what people think he wasn't going to be. So I think Blake would be happy to hear that from me.
I think Stroud is legit, and I think it's kind of hard to tell. I'm a Bama guy, but it's kind of hard to tell what Bryce Young is yet. He's shown some promise, but then he's had fallbacks. He's thrown interceptions like every game. But what talent does he have to throw to? He's got Adam Thielen. That's it. And Miles Sanders is their running back who's been slightly injured here and there. So that they don't really have like a starting running back. Chuba Hubbard. Like, my question is, you give him a wide receiver outside of Adam Thielen. Because if we're being completely honest, is Adam Thielen a top wide receiver in the league? No. But because he's the only veteran on the team, he's getting production for fantasy football, stuff like that. But he's not a top wide receiver in the league. And I'm not saying that a good quarterback needs that, but they do need help. And if he's getting pressure, he needs somebody to throw to who's got the confidence in him as he does in him. And he's only got Adam Thielen for that. So I think the Texans will win. I mean, Panthers probably aren't going to win a game all season, but I think comparing quarterbacks, Stroud's made his mark. He's there. He's set. He's stoned.
He's got that.
But
Carolina's first win will probably be the Saints. That's just how it's going to roll. Carolina's it's going to happen. I'm calling it now. Carolina's first win is going to be against the Saints.
No.
It's just how it rolls.
No.
Anyways, the last thing. So Detroit Lions, playoff contenders, very quiet, 5-2 right now. Wins against the Chiefs when the Chiefs were struggling, but I mean it's still a win. They're still facing Patty Mahomes, Travis Kelce. You still face them that week. They get the win, even if they're struggling. A win's a win. Winners find way to win.
And it was week one. Week one is a big difference too. Teams haven't. I mean, Kansas City knows who they are, but it's early, and I do think the Lions are contenders, though. I'm not going to say that they aren't contenders just because they won in Week 1 against one of the better teams in the NFL. But I think overall, they are they're not a top 3 roster team, but both offensively and defensively combined, they got to be top 10. I think roster-wise.
I mean, they might not have the best players, but they just click into a way where they become one of the best teams.
Yeah, I like their players. Yeah, I mean, they've got young running backs. They've got good wide receivers. They have good defensive line, good O-line. They're not bad.
Jared Goofball isn't being a goof. He's actually being golf ball.
He's been given time. Their offensive line's good. He's given time to be able to make throws out of the pocket. And their wide receivers aren't bad. They've got good defensive backs. They're overall a good team.
Anything else for the NFL? Any other notes before we move on to NBA?
Rip Nick Chubb. I miss that man.
Right, man,
I feel bad for that dude. Yeah, I still think about that to this day.
He's gone through it. Georgia and then now in the NFL. Unfortunate, man.
I just hope he doesn't retire. I hope he doesn't retire, but we'll see.
I think he'll probably shape out until it's an average running back. Probably start playing a little bit more safer now.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. All right. Now on to the MLB. I know I said NBA earlier, but MLB first. I had it on here first, so we'll talk about it. Is this the most electric postseason they've had in a while? I mean, I haven't really followed NBA that closely just because...
MLB.
MLB, sorry. Because, I mean, I've been a Rangers fan all my life, but that's just MLB doesn't really cross my mind sometimes. And I think this is like the first time, like, even if you weren't watching MLB closely, I think everyone's heard about this postseason. The Rangers, 7 straight W's until they lost to their first loss at Astros at home. That's hard to do now. You sleep. Yeah.
Come on now.
Go to Houston Astros and win 4 games on the road. It's absolutely crazy. That's insane.
Yeah.
And the best of 7 series.
And on the other side, you got the Phillies, who were coming into the postseason.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They win their first 2 games. Wait, no. Yeah, did they win their first 2 games in that series against the Diamondbacks? I feel like they did.
They probably did.
But yeah, like the whole Bryce Harper thing. Like the Phillies love Bryce Harper. Their stadium's electric at home. And I honestly said this not too long ago to one of my coworkers. I felt like the Phillies the Phillies
went 2-0 to start the series against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, if they would have beaten the Diamondbacks, I felt like they were going to win the whole thing. They were so hot those first couple of games with
they won game 2
Castellanos hitting home runs like crazy. Bryce Harper, he looked he looked amazing. Their pitching was pretty good. That was probably their only question mark. They didn't have a deep bullpen, but I felt like they had enough to do something, and that may be why they ran into the Diamondbacks and ended up losing. But I felt like both series were so dramatic, and especially the Astros and the Rangers. I mean, my goodness, going all the way to Game 7, and the way that Garcia was hitting every time he stepped into the plate.
Garcia's Houston's daddy, baby.
I mean,
15 RBIs in 7 games. That's knocking in 2 runs a game. Scoring at least 2 runs a game wins you baseball games.
And then the whole fighting situation. The whole fighting situation whenever he got hit.
Dude, I got
electric.
I freaking jumped out. I was drawing for my architecture classes. I know I said I was business, but I was originally architecture. I'm still drawing. I was drawing, and when that happened, I jumped out of my seat. I was ready to fight for him.
Yeah,
I was ready to jump to that screen and fight for him.
It's absolutely insane. But I don't know about necessarily the most electric ever, but definitely, I mean, it's one that most people would look at and be like, that was fun to watch.
I mean, the number 1 seeds all lost, and the number 1 seed.
You have a number 5 and number 6 in the World Series. both coming from the wild card. Rangers
Yeah.
Rangers starting the season hot, having basically the lead, like to win their division and absolutely blowing it.
Yeah.
And barely squeaking in to make the playoffs to absolutely dominating. And now making it to the World Series.
Yeah.
And Diamondbacks, I mean, I never really heard anything about them this whole
only
year.
I heard about the Diamondbacks. I went on a vacation with my girlfriend, and her family is in Arizona. And her Uncle Ted, shout out to Uncle Ted,
Uncle
talking about the Diamondbacks when they win, because if they scored a certain amount of runs, that meant free taco or free 2 tacos and a soda and a drink at Taco Bell if the Diamondbacks scored a certain amount of runs. So I'm just saying, maybe there was a little motivation behind that.
I know the Diamondbacks are the Cinderella team this year. Going in the playoffs, they were the Cinderella. They were young.
First World Series since 2001. I mean, the story is amazing because you have the first. I mean, 2001.
Yeah, the Rangers have never won it.
Team that reached the World Series, and the Rangers have never won it. I mean, it's great. It's a great storyline.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically just 2 underdog stories, like you said, 2 Cinderellas making it all the way from the wild card. It'd be exciting. Can't wait. Starting tomorrow, actually. So
Game 7's gonna give John Michael a heart
attack. Game 7, November 4th, Alabama LSU, and then Rangers versus Diamondbacks. Absolutely electric.
But John Michael will be happy the Rangers are gonna win.
I actually have Rangers in 6, so John Michael may not get a heart attack from me.
Let's go. So John has them to 6. I think Rangers.
I think we'll go to 7. Just to carry on the postseason.
I think with Rangers having home field, I think they can easily win it in 5.
Do they actually win at home field though? Or do they lose them again?
They will this time. I think they will. Because I mean, technically, like you have 2 teams in Texas. Do any of them really have home field? Like you still have Astro fans at the Rangers. Like I think it's really no home field advantage in my opinion. Because like you can still hear crowds going absolutely nuts when the Astros did something good at the Rangers.
Yeah, for sure.
Vice versa. All right, so John has them in 6, Stockley has them in 7, and I have them in 5. So beating around the bush, no one's going to sweep them. All right, so we'll go to the transition to the NBA this time, getting it right. So NBA so season started Tuesday. So who y'all think is gonna? We'll have Lucas Toller on here later in a few weeks once NBA gets rolling. Talk about NBA talk. He's our NBA analyst. So I think he kind of gave us a breakdown earlier in our sports group chat. He says that he has the Celtics as a favorite. He said that they're just an overall solid group. They got the talent.
He loves the Celtics.
But yeah, he is a Celtics fan. It's a little biased there, but I will take credibility. But he also said that Nuggets can repeat because I think they return mostly everyone.
Yep.
So I think neither of them's going to win. I don't know who's going to win. I'm a Pelicans fan. We ain't going to win it. So I'm back, but how many games is he going to last this time? 30, 20, 0? Who knows? But I think there's going to be a sleeper team this year. Golden State.
It's going to be the
got Chris Paul.
Hey. So I actually have this written down. I know you didn't really say that we talk about this, but I have a list of a couple of teams, 5 teams that I think could make a run. Obviously, the Celtics, you already said. The Nuggets, you already said. They're the reigning team, so you can't count them out yet. The Suns, they have Beal. He's hurt.
Big 3 do.
Once they get healthy, how they're gonna play together. The Suns could be dangerous. Golden State, like you said already,
veteran squad.
Steph, Clay, just got Chris Paul. He's already made a mark these first couple of games that he played in. My sleeper is the Indiana Pacers. They are young. They're talented. They play good defense. I'm just saying, watch out for the Indiana Pacers.
And then
you heard it. Exactly. Who's going to own the OKC this year?
God? Julius Alexander, SGA, all-team, all-NBA pro. Shy's going to carry it. And we got Chet Holmgren's healthy, right? He didn't get crossed up by LeBron in the offseason and break himself, so that's nice. And then who we got? We got Josh Giddey, the Australian mastermind, the
The white boy,
sharpshooter.
baby.
We got Lou Dort. Yeah.
The white boy.
What you know
And
about
his
Lou?
draft week.
And J-Dub.
Josh
Jalen
Giddey,
Williams.
his draft weakness was basically basketball. Like, I don't know if y'all seen that, but like,
We're proving
literally,
that
like,
wrong.
no, I know
Okay,
he's
Thunder
proven
up.
everyone wrong,
Thunder
but
up.
that's basically what his draft weakness was playing
Thunder up.
basketball.
We're winning. We're not going to win, but we'll make a run.
Hey,
I think
Jacob,
it'll be Nuggets or Celtics or the
how
favorites.
does that affect LeBron's legacy?
Like Mickey
Speaking about
Mouse, bro.
LeBron. Speaking about LeBron.
LeBron is
LeBron.
terrible. I hope they lost tonight. Please tell me they lost
LeBron
tonight.
is going to his 20th season, and there's reports that he will be on strict minutes.
Oh, they're losing
How
right now.
long? That does not last. Playing on strict minutes will not last.
I think he's trying to save longevity for when Bronny gets.
He's trying to play with his
Wants to play with his son, yeah.
We'll see how long his son lasted at UCF.
Hey, maybe
not
they'll go
UCF,
and play
USC.
for the Suns, so then he can be Le Son. You know what I'm saying?
LeBron is honestly my opinion.
Hey,
And then obviously you have Wembanyama, who has already made his mark in the NBA preseason.
Stat line as Tim Duncan did in his first game. So,
I think he can make an immediate impact, but it just his physical, long, skinny. I think he'll end up putting just a few more pounds on, putting on a little bit of muscle, but who knows? We'll see. I mean, Yao Ming was about the same height, just a little bit thicker, and he didn't really last that long. So I don't know why I compare those two people together, but I just did.
Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, I don't really know.
I saw a picture the other day. It was him blocking a ball, and I swear he was like 5 feet away, and he still managed to block that ball with the arm.
Yeah.
How?
I
know his arms are like
his fingers are probably just as long as my forearm, dude.
It's crazy, man.
I'm pretty sure my legs are probably just as long as his arms are. Like,
does he win Rookie of the Year?
Are thicker than his whole entire body.
I think he'll win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, it's just
he
already
may
dominated.
win it just because of hype.
Yeah,
probably. But as long as he doesn't get hurt, I think he'll win it. If he gets hurt and he's out for the rest of the season, then he's done.
Yeah,
he's not gonna win it.
He's skinnier than KD, bro.
Yeah,
I mean.
But also, one thing I would hit, NBA is debuting a new in-season tourney. I don't know if y'all read much about that, but they have group play, which they chose based off of like last year's records and all that, and it's all mixed up. And so there's 5 teams in a group, and you play each team once. So you play 4 games. And basically 8 teams advance to the knockout round. And it's just like single elimination to the championship. And so the group play is from November 3rd to the 28th. And then the knockout round is single elimination. And all this counts for your actual season wins. It's like, it's not just separate. It actually it goes into your regular season, like how you do.
But what, you have to make the knockout round actually count?
I think even if you don't make it to the knockout rounds, I think they play like a separate pool play like that ends up just equaling out all the games, kind of. So not one team's playing a whole bunch of games. Like I think.
Okay.
So let's say what it is. It's a money-making thing. I mean, that's basically what they want to do.
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I think it's stupid, and it's a wannabe Champions League and the equivalent of soccer, except it doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You get cash, and you just get a trophy, and it doesn't really go to
the NBA Cup, baby.
Yeah, wins
NBA
losses,
Cup.
Sure, but like, come on now.
We're in Mario Kart.
2 games in a season. If you're going to do that, then
NBA Cup.
Season. It's too long of a season if you're going to do that.
And my thing
is
most
like, don't even play. because they don't want to keep
Well,
playing
that's
so
the thing.
much.
Are players going to play in this? Because like it actually counts
Oh, I wouldn't.
towards
If it
the
doesn't matter
season.
and all you do is get cash, no, I'm
Yeah.
not playing. I
And the
played a
cash they
couple
win,
games and
the
it's
cash
like,
they win
okay,
is
I
going
just
to
won this
be pocket
trophy that has
change.
nothing. How is this going to affect LeBron? He wins this thing and they're calling him the GOAT because Michael Jordan doesn't have this? No, Michael Jordan would have won it 6 years in a row. He would have been 6-0. LeBron's going to lose to the freaking Detroit Pistons.
Bro, this is just gonna be
I
a
think,
reason for
and
somebody to
my
be
thing
like,
is,
I'm hurt, I can't play in it. Like, it's gonna
and
be
my
one of
thing
those things.
is, does the same team that wins the NBA Cup win the NBA Finals? Like, or will the Pelicans win the NBA Cup?
No,
Like,
it's not going to have a direct
and
relevance.
my thing is,
There's going to be no
what's the
correlation whatsoever because most people, they're probably going to use it as like for like people who are bench players and need reps. I mean, that's what I would use it for. There's no need to put your big starters in if you have your whole
yeah, but
season
it
in
still
front of you.
counts towards your season total. So, like, if you don't win these
But it
games,
doesn't mean
you can
anything.
fall
It's just
behind
an
in the
extra couple
standings.
games. If your team is good, then it shouldn't matter. If your team is struggling, sure, you can play them all and then hopefully you get wins. Like if you like a bottom team like the Timberwolves,
Pelicans are going to win the NBA Cup, baby. Calling it now.
and if that gets you to in the playoff tournament, that's amazing. But like to the Nuggets, does this mean anything? No, the finals do. And there's no
Yeah, the
reason for
finals.
getting hurt on the NBA Cup that has
Right.
nothing to do with the NBA Finals except for like a
And it
couple
lasts
games
like
you're
a
caught.
month and a half too. It lasts a whole month. Like it
Yeah, I
starts in
think it's done.
November and ends about mid-December.
It shows you how many people are actually watching the regular season games and they want extra cash. It's ridiculous. Shorten the season then.
And they also have a
games would
play-in
matter, and
tournament.
then you'd have players actually want to play every single game.
Also have the play-in tournament to get into the playoffs. The 7 through 10 play.
I like the play-in tournament, but
Yeah, I think that's smart. Do that.
And
10
here's
teams
my
make it each
question:
side.
is how much effort are they going to put into wanting to win that? Like, are you going to make a person who's been in the league for 20 years have to try so hard to make it to this play-in tournament cup thing that like how much does it actually benefit to try super hard as if you're in like some finals?
I know LeBron James' opinion never matters, and he continually decides to state his opinion. But I mean, he's probably thinking this is stupid. There's probably also another way for him. He's probably gonna try to win and be like, Michael Jordan's never won the NBA Cup.
Right.
I'm the GOAT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is the same guy who loves to miss games for no good reason. This dude's always hurt. Yeah.
I got too much load management at my work. I make $1 million for. Speaking of work, the NBA is just Nikola Jokic's 9-to-5 job. He hates going to work.
Bro just wants to ride his horse.
If you see him walking into the arena, that guy has the most depressed face in the whole wide world.
It's like a janitor to him.
Like he was literally ready. He was ready. Like when he figured out he had the parade, he was sad. Like there's already a clip of him saying, "There's a parade. I got to stay here another week." Like, he just wants to watch his horses.
Yeah.
He does not care.
No. He's a baller too.
Yeah. He can ball. Hey, better jump shot than any of us. I could say that much.
He's making millions of.
But anyways, to end this podcast today, we got a few fan questions submitted. So, coming from Travis, and then we'll also combine Lucas's question. So Travis said, will there be a 2-loss playoff team this year?
No.
And then Lucas also asked, what team from outside the top 10 has the best chance of making playoff? And honestly, the answers are going to be Utah, and I think LSU can probably squeak in.
They need some help.
Because if they win out, they'll beat Bama, beat Georgia, be conference champs. So I mean, they have it all there for a minute.
The question about that comes down to
it just depends on how other teams do, like how Pac-12 goes out, how Big Ten finishes.
If LSU were to play Georgia and win the SEC championship game, Georgia would have 1 loss. You really going to put LSU 2 loss in front of a Georgia 1 loss?
No, I'm not doing that. And there's not going to be a 2 loss, so we don't even need to talk about that.
I mean,
Not gonna
so
happen.
much would have to happen for that to happen.
A lot of chaos. And
I mean, you
Yeah.
also have Florida.
It's not
You
gonna
also have
happen.
Florida State. Florida State's about to run the table at ACC.
Yeah, no. And I think the only team outside the
Clemson's
top
awful.
10
Florida State's about to
is
go undefeated.
Utah's the only one.
No.
And I think Utah's ranked too low, in my opinion. No reason they should be ranked out of top 10 right now.
Oh, I agree.
They beat Oregon, they'll be in the top 10.
Yeah.
Well,
They'll
Top
be in the
five.
top 10 automatically. So
hey, rankings come out next Tuesday, so we'll see.
Wait to see those rankings.
what team outside of the top 4, but within the top 10, Jacob?
Oklahoma.
Okay. I was going to say Bama.
Come on now. Oh.
I mean, you also could have Oregon State. I mean, Oregon State can run the table the rest of the year, win the Pac-12, and they only have one loss.
What about that?
Jacob worried about him and himself. I get it.
All right, let's go to
I mean,
a controversial.
There's so many different situations that can happen with the playoffs, and we go through this every year. Every year, it's like, well, what if this 2-loss team were to beat this 1-loss team or no-loss team? Do they get in because they beat them 1-on-1? It's those situations. It's gonna work itself out.
It always
What's going to end up
does.
happening is SEC champion is going to make the playoffs. The Big 12 champion's probably going to make the playoffs. The Big 10 is going to make the playoffs. And maybe a Pac-12 or maybe an extra SEC or maybe an extra Big 12. We'll see. We never know until like 2 weeks before the final week.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever you're going to be like, oh, so those teams got eliminated. Yeah, it's only these teams then. Like, that's what it'll be. It'll be that again.
I hope the Big 12 doesn't make it this year because I really want to go to a semifinal game because of many reasons that involves my father. Many reasons.
That's not gonna
Sorry,
happen,
Jacob.
so.
Texas is going to lose out the rest of the year. Texas is out. Oklahoma's going to. Anyway, so going to the second question or third question from John Michael Hill. Very controversial question. Is Taylor Swift really good for the NFL long term? No. I hate what the NFL's doing right now. And I saw this other day. NFL's turning into Hollywood. They are turning into a production.
There's no reason. You're ESPN, you're a sports account. There's no reason you should be showing Taylor Swift celebrating in the suite next to his mom. That's what
No one cares.
No
one wants to watch it.
Taylor Swift ate 4 chicken fingers while celebrating Travis's win. Okay, that has no relevance.
No one wants to see Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift's handshake.
Stop showing me Taylor Swift going when Travis gets hit or falls down. Like, come on now. That'd be my reaction too as a Chiefs fan. If you're not showing me, you're showing Taylor Swift.
You're gonna show her 22 times. That's what they're gonna do. They show her like 22 times a game, bro. I mean,
the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl. If the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl, it's over. She's gonna be shown 20 million times in the game. That's all the music's gonna be played.
Jalen Hurts to victory.
They might as well should just put her as the halftime show.
Did y'all see that stat that they showed the other day about Travis's production on the field before he dated?
Bro, he went off. I'm just saying.
He went from having 30 yards a game to having 100.
Bro is going to have an MVP type season.
If the NFL script was not more obvious showing that statistic, I lost. I think
and when she goes to the games too, I think it's when she goes to the games. It's crazy.
I think this is like another Deion Sanders in Colorado type deal. It's hyped up for weeks on weeks, and then eventually it'll just die out.
Yeah, I mean,
they'll end up breaking up.
Let's hope
the whole situation is to try to get more people.
Get highlights, but
the more it's all about the money. The more viewers.
Kanye made Taylor famous.
Yeah, I mean,
he made a song about it too.
It's bringing all the Swifties to the game,
on
guys.
Pablo album.
Swifties are now tuning into NFL games because they've never seen a game in their life, but they're like, Taylor Swift.
I saw that Twitter account and it was like, oh, look how Taylor cares for Travis. Show the other Chiefs fans gasping. That's a natural reaction. I'm glad that she's just like, oh,
I'm glad she's not
Like-
dead inside.
yeah. I mean, come on now.
It's insane. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before in my life.
No.
Who knows?
I thought the Deion Sanders
Imagine
was
they get
bad.
married. Oh, it's gonna be a wedding on ESPN, man. It's gonna be the first sports wedding live on ESPN.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. And I thought the Deion Sanders was bad, but that's died down very quickly, so I think it's all right.
Yeah.
I don't really mind that situation more. They got the reality check very quick.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll go into the last question of the night. This is also by Lucas. How much longer will Saban be coaching Bama? And who is the best candidate to replace him? So
I'll go first.
I think I'll go first.
No, I'll go second.
I don't have much to say, but I think Bama's still. Yeah, I think Saban still has about 10 to 15 years. He's only 71. And realistically, he can still coach to 85. I mean, there's still really old coaches who are coaching.
He's not going to pull a Shane Beamer or a Tom Osborne and coach to us like that.
I mean, that dude is 71 years old and still fastly jogging off the field. Like, he is in shape.
He's joining the Pat McAfee show every Thursday. If this is any indication, I think he has 2 years maximum left, but because I think he wants to enjoy the rest of his life with his money, whether that's being an analyst or do whatever he wants to do. I think he's got 2 years max, and honestly, I'd ask Nick Saban, who do you want to run this program? And then go to that person
Lane Kiffin
with a blank check and say, hey, Nick Saban wants you. Oh, I would go instantly. I'd go Lane Kiffin or Kirby Smart.
Kirby ain't leaving.
I don't think Kirby Smart leaves Georgia. He has it too good in Georgia. Kirby Smart's a god in Georgia right now. They praise that man.
Yeah. Here's my take on it. And here's the thing. Last year, 2022 season, he got a contract for 8 years to make it through the 2029 season, so the end of the 2029-2030 season. I think he at least goes, okay, because you also have to think about the money the University of Alabama has to give him to pay him out to be able to actually leave, right? And if he would have thought that he was going to retire in 2 years, he wouldn't have signed that. He would have signed one for 5 years or 6 years. But I just think as far as who's going to replace him once he retires, I do like the thought of Lane Kiffin because here's the situation with him. He hasn't won the big games yet, and so he's more likely to leave, whereas Kirby Smart's settled. He's formed a dynasty, I think. I mean, I don't see that falling off. He's going to continue to get recruits. He's still the same coach, and he's going to stay at Georgia. As far as who I think will come in, if I'm being completely honest, I don't know. They may make a coordinator a head coach, or they may call Lane Kiffin because I know Lane Kiffin, and I mean, they all have good terms. They're on good terms. They all like Nick Saban. They talk all the time, whatever. And they seem to have good relationships.
Mastermind.
Oh, I loved Lane Kiffin, dude. I would have him back right now if I could. But as far as who I think will take over, there's not many names. I don't think it's going to be like a thing where Nick Saban's like, hey, Lane, I absolutely need you to come over here. He might be like, yo, because you were here, here's the situation. I'm retiring at the end of the season. Do you want to become the head coach of Alabama? I'd be completely happy with that because he's a good offensive mastermind.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And he knows how to throw a clipboard 20 feet in the air.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's my take on it. I think he'll either finish out the contract or at least go halfway on it. I mean, Alabama's not going to give him that huge 8-year contract just for him to leave in 2 years.
Yeah, that's why I say. I think he has at least 10 years left.
I don't know about 15.
But he's not going.
I don't know if he's going to be 85.
15 was a stretch now. I was just trying to get to 85.
He's going to be Lou Holtz
He's not
out there. Lou Holtz.
Don't summon Ryan Day, man. Better be careful. All right, y'all got any final last ideas, thoughts?
No.
It's
Yes.
great to be back. That's what I was about to
We're
say.
back, baby.
Yes,
We
sir.
had this idea. I think someone mentioned this idea last Tuesday, and we just took into action. Talked about it all day Wednesday, planned it out.
Now we here. We
We're
here.
here.
We
Coming
coming.
no more.
I
We
think.
here.
I think.
We
I
here,
think.
baby. We here.
I've been counting down the days, man. I'm excited. When I woke up this morning, I was like, today's the day. It's gonna be a great day.
Yes, sir. Thinking about it.
Wow.
It's so much fun. Nothing better.
So I think we'll probably try. Recording days are probably gonna be different. I say the least, just depending on what our schedules are. I'm a college student. Jacob is a college student. Jadon works early morning, so he's not late up at night. So it just depends. Thursday nights probably be the usual night. Usually get us out on Friday at the latest. Going into the weekend, give you something to listen on a Friday at lunch break.
Yeah.
When you getting off work. So yeah. No last thoughts.
Well,
I don't think so. Roll Tide, brother.
Boomer Sooner.
Fun weekend of sports, I say the least. Got high school sports tomorrow.
Go West Monroe.
CCS basketball starting up next week. Yes, sir. Small school basketball, baby. Gotta love it. Basketball starting in the middle of football season, baby.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank y'all if y'all are still listening. Listeners, if y'all are still listening to the very end, thank y'all for joining us on our first podcast. Not perfect right now. Probably will never be perfect, but only improved from now on.
Who is perfect?
No one's perfect.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Nobody. I'm about to say, only man was Jesus.
Only man, Jesus. Recording this at 11:30 at night because just came back from D group, baby. Let's go. Amen.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you for listening to our first episode of Terrible Takes podcast. I'm Holden.
I'm John.
And I'm Jacob.
See y'all next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Peace.